Welcome to How to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Historic, infamous cards. Mystic Mine.
Chapter 1.
Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about Mystic Mine, how it's really infamous in Yu-Gi-Oh! And why it has that reputation. With that being said, let's get on with the rest of the video.
Chapter 2.
And now I'll talk about Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine is the most infamous card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Even more so than Max C.
The truth you need to know.
As you can see, its effect of not being able to activate any monster effects from anywhere is absolutely devastating. The field spell's ability and power, the fact that it can be searched relatively easily because it's a field spell, there's so much going for this card, so much power going for it, so much negativity going for it, that it's understandable why such a card is hated in the community.
You don't get to play, you just lose.
And let's read it to understand why and understand its significance. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. If you control more monsters than your opponent does, you cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. Once per turn, during the end phase, if both players control the same number of monsters, destroy this card. On the surface, it looks like a balanced card, as it destroys itself if both players control the same number of monsters. But as we can see here, this card encourages you to not play monsters, you as the player playing it, not playing monsters whatsoever, and playing just spells and traps, and going for some beatdown. And even if, in the worst case scenario, that you play this in a competitive deck, it's still just completely freezes your opponent's plays. You can play underneath that restriction relatively easily, and still you are able to attack and still able to use your effects while your opponent is not able to do anything. And in modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, freezing all monster effects from everywhere is essentially a death sentence. This is worse than True King of All Calamities or Azathoth. True King of All Calamities and Azathoth only last for the turn. However, the Mystic Mine lasts forever. That means as long as the card is on the field, then it'll always happen. At least with Azathoth, even though both Azathoth and True King of All Calamities are banned, once they've activated their effects, and since they're both exorcisms, and once their materials are gone, then they cannot use their effects again. But Mystic Mine is completely different. While it's all on the field, its effect is always active. That is part of the biggest reason why it is banned and why it is hated. The vitriol and hatred that this card has garnered in the community is insane, but it is warranted. And it is part of the reason why it is the most hated card in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, even surpassing Max C. And that's all I've got to say about Mystic Mine in the infamous category.
Final chapter.
And here we are at the conclusion. Anyways, so I want to wrap it up when it comes to talking about Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine is one of the most infamous cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! It is the most, I would say, hated card in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. The amount of animosity that it has caused and created is astounding. And Mystic Mine is a lesson to us all that there is no card that can be more hated than this card. I don't think the Konami will ever create a card more hated than Mystic Mine. Yeah, we'll see when that card comes. But Max C was the card at one point, but Mystic Mine is in a whole league of its own. Well, with that being said, tune in next time as I talk about more things on this channel. Hope to see you soon.
We come to the end of this video. So, as I like to say, you are one step closer to becoming a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master. My fate, right, is in your hands.